I'd have to ask you to stay back, Congressman.
What's going on?
Some guy was trying to get into the building. When we said no, he started tearing his clothes off.
Sir, I'm one of your constituents, and I wanted to talk to you about some things. I can come back if this is a bad time.
Nobody can hear you.
Well, I realize that I'm not a median voter technically, but I thought you would still...
Nobody cares about you.
Well, that's a little harsh.
Nothing will come of this.
I get it. Political incentives don't always align with the public good.
Why don't you let these nice gentlemen take you home?
Actually, I live just a few blocks from here. I could totally walk home if they untie me. Or not. I'll see you at the town hall meeting. Good night. Hello, I'm Andrew Heaton, and you're watching EconPop, the show that lifts the lid on popular culture to rummage through the festering economic refuse within. Welcome. Today we're going to be discussing the Golden Globe-winning Netflix original series House of Cards.
Take a step back. Look at the bigger picture.
I think I see what you're getting at. Kern first?
That's how you devour a whale, dog. One bite at a time.
Next time you want to feel powerful, drink 3 fingers of scotch and watch House of Cards. It's like injecting Machiavelli directly into your ephemeral artery. It's a show about Frank Underwood, a nefarious congressman, and his machinations and scheme to grab more and more power. Now, I've never been a congressman, although I did accept campaign contributions from Jack Abramoff in 1996, and did some jail time for it. However, I did work for Congress for a little while, so I've actually been there and met politicians, which makes me want to talk to you about public choice theory. Public choice theory is basically the idea that politicians stay human even after they've been elected. You don't magically become a selfless robot once you're sworn in. You still have wants and needs just like everybody else. Some good, some bad. When people talk about the government, they're not talking about a big monolithic entity. It's a collection of people. And each of those people is making their own decisions for their own reasons. In House of Cards, the decision of which base to close or where to put a project is not driven by what's actually the best idea, it's decided by horse trading.
I can't do that.
Yes, you can, Peter.
I spent months on that testimony. I lobbied the commission, my entire office.
I'm sure you've done splendid work, but unfortunately it can't come to fruition.
Why?
Politics. This force is bigger than either of us at play here.
It's 12,000 jobs.
I know, it's a shame.
Now, most congressmen are actually pretty good people. They love their families and they deeply care about their districts, which leads them to fight for as much money as they can send home. If a congressman is the son of Iowa corn farmers and his friends are all corn farmers, and for some reason he's married to a cornfield or something, he thinks he's doing a good thing just by getting corn subsidies. So far, this is all at least well-intentioned. There's been no corruption. But if you magnify this thought process by every member of the Senate and every member of the House, there's a lot of money being spent. And yet most people don't care. This is because of concentrated benefits and dispersed costs. If I'm a corn farmer, $10 million in subsidies is a big deal to me, enough to pay a lobbyist to go to Washington on my behalf. But spread out over 300 million Americans, that subsidy is just a few cents. Nobody cares. But you add up all those cents and pretty soon you've got billions of dollars, all taken out of your wallet, funneled through Washington and put in somebody else's pocket.
Glendon Hill fronts Sandcorp Industries. Sandcorp is deep into natural gas. I don't give a hoot about natural gas, but I have 67 deputy whips and they all need cash to win races. Sandcorp helps me purchase loyalty, and in return they expect mine. It's degrading, I know, but when the tit's that big, everybody gets in line.
This is all reinforced by an interesting paradox. People hate Congress, but they love their congressman. If Frank Underwood is my representative, he's bringing my tax dollars back to my district. He's putting money towards projects that benefit my community, whether that means hot air balloon research or teaching dolphin sign language or whatever. But every other congressman is just pork barrel spending, those miserable crooks. Now, with a corn farming congressman I mentioned earlier, we're still talking about someone who is, at least in their mind, doing right by their constituents. But we need to remember that congressmen, just like anyone else, have their own personal interests, like getting reelected, which means they have an incentive to support laws based on their re-election campaign, not on the general good. This can lead to corruption and swapping favors for campaign contributions. Frank gets Linda her influential White House position, knowing that it will benefit him later. Sometimes you get people who are downright evil, like Frank Underwood.
Are you trying to turn this around on me?
That's not all, Orrin.
Your easement.
You see, every couple of years, the Piedmont Electric, they apply to bring power lines through Gaffney.
The route comes right through your lot.
Now, Gene and I always fight them off, but this year, if they were to reapply,
Eminent domain.
it'd be such a shame to have to tear down this beautiful home.
They're just in it for raw, unbridled power, like Senator Palpatine in Star Wars. And chilling as that thought is, it's also predicated on the idea that politicians, well-intentioned or evil, are all competent, which is a big leap of faith. We might draw the conclusion that if Frank were a better person, the government would be better. Frank could become devoutly spiritual or listen to Tony Robbins nonstop, but even as a good person, he'd still be shoveling subsidies back to his district, just like all of the other congressmen. Ultimately, every politician desires to get reelected, and that colors every law that's passed and every tax dollar that's spent. Would I be subject to public choice theory if I were a congressman? Well, you might very well think that, but I couldn't possibly comment.